Hi, Marie. Admit. Hi, Marie Claude. You're the last person I thought I would see. But that's great.
Yeah, we got electricity. We got power back about 15 minutes ago.
Wow. Do you know what it was from? Huh? Okay.
Not yet. Hey, with all the construction around here,
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
could be anything.
Look no further.
Yeah.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, everyone.
Carol.
Hi, Marie-Claude. Hi, Margaret.
Hi. Um, Marie Claude just phoned me, Carol, to say that she was without power, and so was the rest of Kitsilano.
Oh, wow.
But it was just restored, and here she is.
Oh, yay.
Yay, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Madly dashing about.
Here's Hal come to join us.
Good.
This is, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Okay. My neighborhood dog wants to come and visit, but I don't think we're going to let him while we're. I don't give him dog biscuits, but he likes carrots.
Really?
Yeah, so I snap off half a carrot and give it to him, and he crunches it all up. And
Oh, that's good.
yeah, so I must be his friend because I feed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Marie Claude, I just got your minutes today. I realized, oh, you put them in your Dropbox.
Yes.
Excellent.
I thought I'd try that instead. Let's see.
Oh, that's
because
perfect.
I was sending you 2 sets. That's why.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
And I still haven't heard from the firefighters.
Oh, well, that's fine. Okay.
Hi, Margaret.
Hi. Hal, you decided to come back from the beach and join us.
Absolutely.
You still smelling of coconut suntan lotion?
Absolutely.
Good for you.
No, we're
Yeah.
still in Palm Springs.
Oh,
cool.
very nice.
No
Nice.
beaches
Right.
here.
No beaches there.
Yeah. Yeah. And Lisa has joined us, and Barbara, who's the new transcriber, has joined us.
Right.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good. Somebody's flickering like crazy above me.
I see some flickerage myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much everybody
Okay.
on
Huh.
a rotating basis there.
Lisa, I only see the flickering on your screen.
Yeah,
but
I
who
only see it
knows,
on me
right?
too. We've got a
Yeah.
very old machine, so I'm always worried
Okay.
that it's going to go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Oh, well. Well.
I wonder how I can stop that. It's going to drive me nuts.
Ah.
Okay.
What to do?
Yeah.
Should I try and sign out and sign in again?
Yeah, you could. If worse comes to worse, we can stop your video, but that seems a bit extreme.
Yeah. I've got a PowerPoint all lined up for you.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Let's see. Oh.
Okay.
If worse comes to worst, I can try switching to the laptop, but it might take me a
Okay. Fair
little
enough.
bit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try leaving and signing in again.
Okay. We'll see you shortly then.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, here's Joanne. Huh. Okay.
Gang.
Yay. Hey, Joanne. Hello.
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Lisa, oh, here's Lisa. attempting to enter the room again without flickerage that we were just seeing on her last attempt. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. So as I was just saying, we are welcoming Barbara for the first time because, hi, Barbara. Because we put an ad in the Vancouver Historical Society's newsletter. And Barbara has actually completed her first page of transcription. So she is now one of us.
Oh,
Welcome to the dark side, Barbara.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. There. Huh.
The screen was fine to begin with, and then it reverted to this.
I agree. I thought, oh, we're good this time.
Yeah.
But now we're not. So
Sorry, I'm still trying.
okay.
Yeah, I'll try one more time, and if it doesn't work, I'll switch to the laptop.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Oh,
No, it's still awful, isn't it?
no, it's not very good. I hate to say.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, I'll move over to the laptop and see what we can do
Okay.
there. I don't know
Sure.
why it's doing that. Yeah, okay.
Just to be difficult.
Yeah, okay. I'll
Okay.
hopefully catch you shortly on the flip side.
Okay. Leah Minuk has joined us. Hi, Leah. Hi. Oh, there you
Hi.
are. Hello. Hi. And oh, someone has just decided that it's time to start their loud lawnmower. Just as we're
I'll close my
beginning.
window.
Yeah.
That's construction in my neighborhood.
Was it you that just said that, Joy?
Me, Joanne.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Because Marie Claude was saying the same thing about her neighborhood in Kitsilano. So, oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Yoda.
Grogu.
Oh, sorry. I haven't seen these newest ones. So, yeah, I'm behind in my Star Wars. What is it? Star Wars universe knowledge.
Yeah, so he was being called Baby Yoda for the longest time, but his
Right.
name is actually Grogu. So
Excellent. Yeah.
No spoilers, Joanne. I've just started the series.
Oh, did you? From the beginning? Mandalorian at the beginning?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Okay. Yeah. Sheila is another new transcriber who's with us.
Hello.
Hi, Sheila.
Hello.
Oh, there you are. Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. So, Sheila, do you know Barbara?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Sheila, you've joined us as a result of the Vancouver Historical Society. Is that true?
Yes, I think so. I'm trying to
Oh.
remember where I read about the
Okay.
work you're doing. And
Oh, welcome in any case.
Thank you.
That's great. Yeah.
I commented to Margaret that I'm interested particularly because my great grandfather was an alderman around 1910.
Oh,
So-
I'm not there yet.
It would be a treat if you get to Thomas Kirkpatrick.
We'll get there.
We
Yeah.
will.
Oof, there,
There.
seems
Oh,
to be
Lisa,
working.
look at you. You're staying in one place.
I'm not flickering.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's happening. I'm sorry. It's just
Oh,
weird.
not at all. Yeah.
Anyway,
We're-
maybe we should have some light. It's a bit
Yeah.
dark, isn't it?
I wonder if
Yeah.
Sam's forgotten about us. So I'm just going to see if I can raise him on another line while, yeah. So I wonder if those of you who have been around for a bit would be so kind. Oh, I'm sorry. I should start myself. I'm Margaret. Hello. I try to herd all these cats, and it's not always easy. We have Lisa Smith here, who on her third try has managed to join us without flickering. She's going to be our guest speaker today. And Barbara and Sheila are both new transcribers. This is kind of their first couple of minutes, being involved with what we do. But in the meantime, we have Carol, Hal, Joanne, Leah, and Lynn, and Marie-Claude. So I wonder if you can remember the order that I just said that in, and just kind of say hi briefly, each of you, without putting you on the spot too much, I hope. Carol, would you
sure.
mind to begin?
Yeah, I'm fairly new at this too. I think I've done 8 sets of minutes right now, and I've joined in the fall. I read about it in the Vancouver Province, the article by John Mackey, and it was super exciting, and it just gets better with each set of minutes, and in each meeting, seeing all of you and more people coming involved. It's very exciting. I just recently figured out that Garden is the mayor in the work that we're doing. I live at Parkhurst Garden. I just figured out who he was. Okay, who's next?
I don't know who was second after Carol.
I'm
Sure,
not sure.
Hal here, Hal Bell Irving. I seem to be, I need to figure out how to put my last name on there. It's just the first name. But my family has a long history in Vancouver. My great-grandfather came out in the late 1880s. And so we've been here for a few years. So I'm very interested in the history of Vancouver. And that's basically it.
Well, I think it was me third. So I'm Joanne McCormick, and my bent on all the history here is on the policing side. I'm a 33-year officer, retired from the Vancouver Police, and so this is a bit of my passion project. I have quite a few passion projects, so this is one of them. And I came on, I can't even remember what year, a couple of years ago, and I've done, I think, 100 or more transcriptions by now. But now I'm living in Kelowna, so I was helping Margaret out initially with the taking the photos of the books, but unfortunately I'm a little far afield now. So yeah.
Yeah. Leah, how about you?
Oh, well, it's not much to say. My family's been in BC since early 1870s. And I've been in Vancouver most of my life, so I'm very interested in Vancouver history. And I'm an old friend of Margaret's, so she roped me in one day, and I haven't left.
Yeah, I hold you in. Yeah, cool. Lynn, are we on to you? I missed some. I was trying to raise Sam on the phone while I was gone. Yeah.
I joined about maybe 6 months ago, and again it was through that article by John Mackey in the Province about the Rogers family, and just struck a chord, and I was looking for a new project because I'm retired, and I've been consumed with it, really. Well, you will find the more you do, the easier the handwriting is. I remember the first one, I thought, every word I was struggling with, and now I could just so it does get easier.
Yeah, excellent. And have we heard from Marie-Claude?
Nope.
No.
Excellent. It's that time.
It's Marie-Claude, and I joined probably at the same time as Carol. But for me, it was the article in the Vancouver Sun. And again, it was like, oh, this should be interesting. I'm a high school history teacher, 30 years. So, anything along those lines would be, it was like, the honey pot, let me in, and rabbit holes and all the rest of it. So, Yes, and it gets easier. The handwriting does get easier as you get along. You pick up the vocabulary, and it's like there are days when I'm standing in front of it, it's just like, thank God I read, because if I didn't, I wouldn't know any of these expressions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways.
Definitely, if you like historical fiction, you're that much ahead.
Mary Claude, are you from Quebec?
Nope, I'm from born and raised in Niagara Falls.
Oh my
Woohoo.
goodness. Oh.
Yep.
Excellent. Barbara and Sheila, can we put you on the spot just for a minute to say hello and a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I can go first if you like.
Sure.
5 months? Yeah, I've been retired for a whole 5 months. Always been interested in historical things. Kind of started a bit with having time to check into my father's history with the VPD.
Oh.
Aha. Sorry for the interruption, but you'll see why we did.
He was in of the infamous class of 1956.
Okay.
And my sisters and I still have all his arm badges, his retirement badge, his dog pictures, all kinds of stuff. So that kind of prompted me on. Then I can't remember how I ended up. Well, I've always been a member of BC Historical Society. They were looking for a treasurer, which is what I did for 30 odd years. So I'm doing that, and it's pretty interesting. But when I'm doing the little bit of transcription I did today, they were sure long-winded in those days. Like,
perhaps we've noticed.
Desire to place on record the deep sorry which we all feel at his premature demise. I get to the point. So I do kind of feel like I'm being transported into time, though.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of going backwards 125 years, even though I'm not really. So that's where the interest comes for me.
That's cool. Sheila, you talked a bit about your ancestor. Did you want to add anything else? Or?
Oh, my family on both sides has been in Vancouver since before 1900. And so it's also interesting to compare, because one grandfather was an alderman, so he is on record. He is in the archives, and you can look him up and find photos of the shingle mill he had. Whereas my great grandfather on my mother's side, he was a carpenter and left school in grade 3. And there is not the same documentation of, although he led just as important a life and built a beautiful house. That's not something that got written down.
Yeah.
So I know Lisa. We both sit on the literacy hub, the West Side Literacy Hub. I sit as a community member, and she represents the Hastings Mill Store Museum. And I used to volunteer at the museum 20 years ago. That was the first time I encountered a very old-fashioned type of business meeting, where at the beginning, I don't know if they still do this.
No,
but
we do not.
When they said review the minutes of the previous meeting, they read out loud the minutes of the previous meeting.
Oh my.
Because it was a custom in place since before photocopiers. I was stunned but fascinated by just that whole idea.
Yeah,
you
still do.
Refer to the minutes online, isn't yes. So yeah, this sounds very exciting.
Oh, excellent. So that brings us into introducing Lisa Smith, who's our guest speaker today. So this is awesome.
Okay. I have a PowerPoint presentation. I'm a little bit foggy about how to fire it up on the the iPad. So should I start or should we wait for Sam or?
Oh, no, Sam will make it if he can. I wasn't able to reach him on the phone, so he's in the middle
Okay.
of something. And besides which, this meeting is also being recorded, so he can look
You
at
can
it
look at it
after
later.
and
Okay.
see what's what. So so you know, I could say all kinds of things about how wonderful you are, but I have a feeling you could do that better yourself. Yeah.
Well, the
But-
talk is all about me.
Excellent.
I just have to make sure. Oh, now I've lost everybody. What's happened here?
Oh,
Okay, try and get everybody back.
okay.
Uh,
We still see you if that's
can you
any
still see me?
consolation. Yeah, we can see
Okay.
you. We can hear you.
Okay, I'll just try and click launch meeting again.
Okay.
I don't know what this means up at the top when it says open Zoom US. Oh, there we go. Okay,
Oh,
you're
okay.
back. Now to share the PowerPoint together, I click share screen.
Yes.
Now it's coming up with host disabled participant
Oh, hang
screen
on.
share.
Sorry, you're right.
I clicked OK on that, and that's when I lost everybody.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, but I'm severely technically challenged.
Well, it seems I'm not that much ahead of you today because
I had it all lined up on the. Oh, now I've
okay.
lost everybody again.
Okay.
So you won't be
Meeting.
able to see us when you share the screen.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, you'll just see your screen the same as what we can see. So we don't see your screen though, we still see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get the PowerPoint up. So if I click on
Okay.
share screen,
Yeah.
here we are. Okay, I think
Okay.
I've got it. Finder transcend. Okay, I've got two options here. Let's see if this works.
Okay.
Share.
Aha.
There we go. Have we got
There
it?
you are. Yay.
Okay. Yay. Okay, so I don't know if there's any distraction with all the other stuff that's on there, but if everybody can
Nope,
ignore
it's
that,
good.
that
That's
would be
perfect.
great. Okay, yeah, this is a little piece that I put together especially for you when I came to the last meeting and Sam asked if I'd like to do something, and I thought, well, I could talk about one of my books, but what I've never done before is just sort of put together a potpourri of everything that I've done so far. It's been a
Excellent.
pretty amazing journey. So I just kind of cobbled this together over the last couple of weeks, and this is the first time I've shown it. So
Good.
you guys are my guinea pigs, if you will.
Excellent.
But I call it Through My Window. So I guess any of you that have been down to Hastings Mill, you'll recognize the background there. It's being in Old Hastings Mill Store Museum. Picture of me looking through the window. So we'll explain a little bit further on how I came up with that title. But anyway, moving right along. So I was born in Burnaby, BC, born and raised, and my parents were very, very keen on history, just as much as I am. So I guess it's a bit of a family trait. And when we were kids, we did all kinds of trips everywhere with mom and dad. And this one was taken in Fort Langley in 1962, which will date me a little bit, as you can see. But we had a lot of fun. We traveled around the province and saw many interesting places like O'Keefe Ranch and I'll admit I didn't probably appreciate them back then as much as I would now, but but it certainly sowed the seeds. Okay, so that brings us to a picture of my mom, who unfortunately we just lost in 1921. 2021, her 100th year.
Oh,
And, yeah. So I miss her, and unfortunately, she didn't have the best last year of her life. But for the most part, it was very, very full and interesting life. And like mother, like daughter, she was a docent at Burnaby Village Museum. So, and I did the same thing years ago at the Museum of Vancouver. So we both kind of shared the same interests there in docenting. So we fast forward ahead to 2001. And I was really eager to get into writing, and I tried to make a few hesitant forays in with the publishing companies and didn't have too much success in the early days. So I thought, well, we'll go the self-publishing route. I was really lucky because my husband, Doug, he worked at Triumph at the time, and there was a very talented artist there by the name of Eddie Knight. So we came up with a proposal to him. How would you like to work on a project together? We could do a book about the St. Rock and try and do it as a fundraiser for the St. Rock Preservation Campaign. So Eddie, being the wonderful artist that he is, he contributed the illustrations for this self-published book, Travels with St. Rock. So there's an example of a few of his works that he did. And there's another one.
Wow.
He's just a beautiful artist. So as I say, it was a little bit of an amateur effort on both of our parts. We didn't really know what we were getting into, but we did manage to raise a little stipend for the St. Rock Preservation Campaign. So we donated that to Jim Delgado, the director of the Vancouver Maritime Museum at the time, in 2022. So we fast forward ahead to 2012. Make that 2012. I'm terrible with numbers. I just noticed that. But I approached Ronsdale Press to see if we could find a home for our friend Joe, my first, what I consider professional manuscript, which was co-authored with a lady named Barbara Rogers. Some of you might have been familiar with. But anyway, it was all pretty cut and dried and casual. I submitted the manuscript to Ronsdale, and I got an email back from Ron Hatch of Ronsdale Press, and he said, we liked it very much. We'd like to publish. Just easy peasy, just like that. So I was super excited, as you can imagine, and work progressed on our friend Joe, and we told the pretty comprehensive story, I think, about Joe Forty's. Had included lots of photos, his life at English Bay Beach, the iconic picture of Joe taken at the beach in about 1915. And in front of his cottage, we figure about the same time, 1915. We had the tremendous privilege to get in touch with Bud Kankey, who was at that time the owner of Joe Forty's restaurant. And lo and behold, he was the owner of this gold watch on a chain that had once belonged to Joe. We couldn't quite figure out how he got it. He was a little bit cagey on that. It sounded as if it was through a collector. So we didn't get full details, but we met him at the restaurant one day and had a chat about the project, and he graciously agreed to let us have a look at the watch, and he actually came to the book launch and wore the watch, so that was really, really special.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah. I also had the privilege of knowing Barbara Howard and her sister Goldveen. This is a classic example of how a lot of things in my writing journey have just fallen nicely into place, almost as if they were preordained, or as if there was someone pulling strings from up above. I don't know, but Barbara and Goldveen were both involved with my church up on Capitol Hill, Ellesmere United. So I actually knew them prior to undertaking this project. So we met Barbara up in her home. She was, getting pretty elderly and frail by the time our friend Joe came out, but she really embraced the project and contributed to it quite enthusiastically, and she was able to come to the launch. So we were really privileged to have her. We actually made a trip over to Liverpool, partly to visit family and also to try and retrace some of the places that were connected with Joe, because he did spend about 5 years in Liverpool, and he actually learned to swim at this Liverpool St. George's Pierhead public baths.
Wow.
which dates way back. So we went and visited the approximate site of the baths and the River Mersey, where Joe had a very clandestine swim across the river in about 1884. It was on a dare, so we tell about that in the story. And this was the approximate location from where he would have swum across the river from Queen's Dock. So we're hoping to do that again this summer, have another look, because we're planning on going back to Liverpool. And here I am practicing my swimming strokes on the approximate site of the St. George's Pierhead public bath. So Joe, our friend Joe had a lot of success. I'm really privileged to know a local actor by the name of Carlos Joe Costa. And he, as far as I'm concerned, is a dead ringer for Joe. And he does a wonderful job of portraying him. So just recently, they had a Places That Matter unveiling near the site of Joe's cottage. Some of you might have been there or heard about it down on English Bay. So we got Carlos Joe Costa to come down and pose by the fountain with the plaque, and he was quite honored to do that. And we did sort of a little role play thing on the beach, and he's portrayed Joe a few times. Our master plan, if the stars align, is to develop a screenplay about Joe.
Wow.
So we're working on this. No guarantees. We've got Colleen Hardwick on board. She was interested, so she and Joe met the other day, and I gather she's got some connections in the motion picture industry. So we'll see where it leads, because I think it would make a great screenplay.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to 2012, we put together Vancouver Is Ashes. And that was a prime example of a story spawning another story, because we became so interested in Joe's fire experience, his great fire experience, that it really resulted in a whole new book, Vancouver Is Ashes. So what we tried to do with Vancouver Is Ashes is tell the story of the Great Vancouver Fire from an eyewitness perspective, make the reader feel as if they were actually there. And that's what I've tried to do in some of our slides that we present to school kids as well. A little bit cheesy, but we add a little bit of color and embellishment to make it more interesting, because this is a popular talk with school kids. Okay. So there's the minutes that you might be familiar with that actually predate the fire.
Yes.
Were saved by the city councillor, Thomas McGuigan. Okay, there's the famous photo of Vancouver after the fire being reduced to a city of ashes. The one surviving hotel, the Regina Hotel, in the background there, you can see. And there's the melted remains of the St. James Anglican Church bell. And
Is anybody else getting that feedback?
yeah, I'm getting a lot of feedback.
I think we all need to mute our mics.
Yeah, let's put it on.
A lot of feedback. What to do? It was fine earlier.
Yeah.
Should I just continue? Don't know why that would be.
I think it's Hal.
Can we ignore it? Is it? I just started to.
Sorry. Can everybody except Lisa try muting themselves, and we'll see if that improves the situation?
And Margaret, I think you have the power to mute everybody.
Should I try and turn down the volume a little bit? Okay. No. Okay, well, I'll try again. Is that better? Hello? Can you hear me at all?
It's better.
It's better. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, where were we? So that was the ashes. Yeah, this was a document that was found by Walter Gravely in the ashes of the Sunnyside Hotel. it's the only trace of ash that I could find from the Great Vancouver Fire. Presumably there's a whole layer of ash underneath the city, but this little bit here was about all that I could find. And then of course we have the famous tent city hall photo that was taken after the fire, with Mayor Malcolm McLean seated in the middle there, and his councillors making plans for the rejuvenation of the city. This was actually a staged photograph, as some of you might know. The tent is actually in the process of being taken down, and microscopic analysis of the papers in the background on the bulletin board show that the date was well after the Great Fire had occurred. So I think it was just a quick photo op before the tent was dismantled. Somebody got a sense of the history of it. So that, of course, became the cover photo for the book. So as typical, we had another launch party at Old Hastings Mill Store Museum, co-presented with Ronsdale Press. And I do like to support charities as much as I can with my books. So for this particular one, we divided the take between the Old Hastings Mill Store Museum and the Vancouver Firefighters Charitable Society, which is our ongoing charity for this particular book. I should have mentioned for the Joe book, it's the Life Saving Society's Swim to Survive program for school children. So that makes me feel good to be able to give something back. We also paid tribute to the victims of the Great Fire. We don't have their full names in a lot of cases, but we were able to isolate at least 7 victims. There was probably one more and possibly more as well as that. So we set up a little plaque in their memory at the museum. This was another interesting thing that happened. This lady in the front row seated second from right. This is Annabella Fraser, and she was one of the Great Vancouver Fire survivors. So the day before the launch, I happened to be staffing at Hastings Mill, and her great grandson happened to show up just randomly with absolutely no idea that this event was going to be happening. And I said, well, this is really quite serendipitous. So again, like the Howard sisters, it seemed like another fine example of stars aligning. And I just thought it was so strangely coincidental. So he came along to the launch the next day and he spoke, and unfortunately I don't have a picture of him, but it's buried somewhere. And we also had the granddaughters of Harry Devine, who took the cover photo, and other photos from the early days of Vancouver. So this was Helen Tara and Betty Keller, granddaughters of Harry Devine. So it was wonderful to have them. Helen, I gather, is no longer with us, but Betty is still very active in the writing scene. She's into her 90s now and seems to be as sharp as ever. So it's great to get in contact with her again. And I actually made the front page of the Vancouver Sun with Ashes. So I was kind of proud of that. That was kind of fun. There's certainly been a lot of poignant moments in writing the books. I have a wonderful group of mentors, 3 other ladies, Norma, Nora, and Dorothy. And we've been meeting together for years, every 2 weeks, going over the manuscripts with a fine-tooth comb and deciding what needs to be changed or reworked. And this was Dorothy Macy's family Bible, which she graciously offered to let us use in the book as an illustration. And this Bible was actually put down a well during the Great Fire and survived. So it was quite a remarkable story. It belonged to her husband's great-grandfather. Yeah. So there's a picture of Dorothy just earlier on this year in January, and unfortunately we lost her about a month later. She was pretty up in years, and she'd had a very full life. She was a champion lawn bowler and had a million stories to tell. So I will miss Dorothy and always be grateful for the the contributions that she made to my books. And so then we move on to Emily Patterson. And this book was published by Ronsdale Press in 2014. Originally, I was going to write a book about the historic women of Gastown. And then the more I learned about Emily, the more I zoned in on her, and she became the prime focus of my research. And I thought, well, I think we can do a book about her alone. The catch was that I had to resort to a little bit of fiction because I couldn't just quite bring her to life the way I wanted to. So I parachuted in quite a bit of fictional dialogue, but I think it worked, and we were able to tell a little bit more about the life of a very interesting woman, Emily Patterson. With Emily, we also got to make some really interesting trips. So I usually say to my husband, can we go here? Can we go there to have a little bit of research and along the way. So this particular trip took us to Port Alberni, which was one of the areas where the Patterson family stopped. They were gypsies in the early days and did a lot of traveling about looking for their utopia, if you will. So we made a little sojourn to Port Alberni and saw bears on the Somass estuary and from a safe distance, and really kind of got the feel for what Emily would have experienced there. We also took a trip down to Champoeg, Oregon, which personally I'd never heard of, but it's actually got very strong Canadian connections as the former Hudson's Bay trading post. And now it's a National Historic Park, and it's pronounced Champoeg. And it's very close to the Willamette River. Beautiful area, but they did have their troubled times, like in 1861. This was just a few years prior to Emily's arrival. They had a very severe flood, which pretty much destroyed the town of Champoeg. And you can see the high water mark on the tree there of just how high the water got. It did leave a lot of stagnant water behind in the area, and there were a lot of mill ponds. This is actually a pond, believe it or not. And as you can imagine, the mosquito population got quite severe in the summer, and unfortunately, Emily lost a son there to malaria. So malaria was apparently quite rampant down there in the time. So after that tragedy, the Pattersons moved back up north again, and they settled at Hastings Mill. And this is a picture of one of the daughters, Alice, who became Alice Patterson Krakenthorpe. Her name is very prominent in early interviews with Major James Skip Matthews, and very colorful recollections of growing up on the Hastings Mill town sites, and also at Moodyville. So there's the Patterson home at Moodyville on the North Shore. Long gone, of course, now, but quite a cozy place back in the day. One of the most famous and dramatic stories about Emily's life is the night she went out to Point Atkinson after receiving word that the lighthouse keeper's wife of keeper Walter Irwin was very ill. So of course today Point Atkinson would not be a difficult place to get to, but if you can imagine, back in 1884, it was quite remote and lay, considerably down inlet from Moodyville. But Emily got word that this lighthouse keeper's wife was ill, and she resolved to get there despite the storm. So she managed to get a ride from an Indigenous man named Chinaset, who was the stepfather of August Jack Catzalano. So this is a view of the original lighthouse at Point Atkinson with the home in behind of the Irwins. So you can just imagine that journey that Emily would have had to make in the dark, in a storm, in a canoe, getting out to this remote area. They didn't actually manage to pull up to the lighthouse itself. They only got as far as this little sheltered Caulfield Cove. Some of you may have been there. It's just before Lighthouse Park. It's this little sheltered cove that juts into the land, and they would have hiked the rest of the way from there. So it gave you a lot of a feel for what Emily would have gone through, and trying to get through the Salal and the rocky outcroppings. So we had really interesting day out there exploring and basically trying to retrace the route that Emily would have taken that night, and climbing up to the lighthouse. This is not the original lighthouse. There was one before there, but the little stone wall to the left is part of the original structure. And again, I was able to meet some descendants, and this was the great-great-grandson of Emily, Michael Swanson. So he came to the museum again for the launch with a whole posse of Pattersons. There was quite a few of them. So it was really wonderful to have them, and I've been in touch with other family members as well. So to me, that's so special. They're just like rock stars as far as I'm concerned. And I did make a trip out to Emily's grave site out in Mountain View Cemetery. Unfortunately, there's no marker where she lies and alongside her husband, but that's the approximate location there just to my right. So someday we might see if we can arrange to have a proper monument there for her. So finally we arrive at Hastings Mill, the latest. So this was published by Ronsdale Press in 2021. So I like to think that it tells you pretty much everything you would ever want to know about Hastings Mill, from the time that Captain Edward Stamp pulled into the area in 1864, planning to build a sawmill, and initially choosing an area in Stanley Park, the future Stanley Park, the military reserve, and then realizing that this other location further up inlet would be better. So there's the picture that we have on display at the museum, which I love to show people because it really tells the whole story. And it was photographed in 1872. You can see the store. I always tell people that's this building and in its original location, and the sawmill and schoolhouse. So it's just a lovely picture of early Vancouver. And of course, the mill was very cultural, very multicultural. Chinook jargon was the popular spoken language of the day, as Sam will certainly testify. And we have this wonderful map of the Great Vancouver Fire and how it pretty much destroyed all of the community of Vancouver as it stood back then, with the exception of the Regina Hotel on the east and the most of Hastings Sawmill town site on the west survived on the east, with just a couple of buildings destroyed on the outskirts. And this was the picture that we decided would make a great cover picture, the famous British Columbia toothpicks, which were exported from the sawmill. Nowadays, I'm thinking that would probably be a little bit not politically correct, because that's clearly old growth forest, and I'm sure there'd be some outcry about that these days. But back in the day, they were certainly proud of the quality of lumber that could be brought out of our British Columbia forests. And then, of course, we've got the famous pictures of the mill being transported by boat through the Narrows and across English Bay by Captain Charles Cates to its permanent home at the north foot of Alma Street, then called Alma Road. And here it stands today. And we're very proud of our brand new paint job. This is red and white, which were the colors that were typically used back in the day. Very expensive project, and we're still rather in debt. Our next project is going to be a new roof, So we're in a never-ending situation where we have our hand out. So we're hoping some generous benefactor will step forward at some point and help us to complete all these projects. But we really lucked out with the paint job, the exterior paint. It was done by a firm called Rhino Design, and Craig was very meticulous and threw in a lot of extras, you know, free of charge, and as I say, we just think it looks beautiful. We're so proud of it. Okay, now that pretty much ends the books in print. Now we get to our books in development. Fingers crossed. So I've been working on a project republishing the conversations of August Jack Catalano. These are all online, and they documented his conversations with Major James Skit Matthews from 1932 to 1954. So what I did was I thought, rather than have these by date, I'm going to divide them up by subject matter. So we talk about fishing, we talk about hunting, we talk about all the various traditions, you know, and try and group them by subject. I've added lots of photos. I went through all kinds of old newspaper articles and discovered some really interesting pieces. He had a bit of a feud with the figure skater Barbara Ann Scott, and all kinds of interesting little stories. So I've added in those, but I feel it's not my story to tell. So I took it up to the Squamish Nation community with the help of Eric Anderson, who's one of the city councilors up in Squamish. And we took it up in binder form, and we've left it with them. And I've said, I spoke with an elder by the name of Eggie, and I've left it with her and said, you have a look at it and see if you think it's right for you. And I'm happy to make any changes that you wish, and we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, it has been re-released by Massey Books. So I'm not sure if we're going to be able to proceed with this project, but I'm hopeful that we can at some point in some way, shape, or form, because there's so much to tell about Catalano. He was an amazing man, and he had a lot of positive energy, and he made a lot of friends with the white community. Here he is with Jessie Greer Hall, pretty much the founding native daughter, and the person I believe to be the mover and shaker for getting the Hastings Mill store to its current location. This lovely photo with a child at one of the North Shore track and field meets. And yeah, so that gives you a little bit of a sneak preview of what will hopefully come to light, because as I say, there is much more to tell. And finally, we get to a gentleman by the name of Noel Robinson. This is my current project. And it all stems back to when I wrote the Joe Fortes biography, and Noel was one individual who had befriended Joe and wrote about him quite extensively. So it was really without Noel's input, I would not have been able to come up with a book about Joe. So and then in researching Noel, I've found that there's very fascinating story to tell about him. He was born in Worcester, England, and came out here in 1908 and absolutely embraced the British Columbia pioneering life, and got out there in the bush and got his hands dirty, and had a lot of experiences through the years. He settled here for the rest of his life, and he wrote some wonderful columns in the paper and articles. He was really the Major Matthews and Chuck Davis before their time. I mean, he was the first, in my opinion. He wrote a series called The Story of My Life, which appeared in the Vancouver Daily News Advertiser from 1912 to 1915. And also briefly in the Vancouver World. And he also wrote a column steadily, practically every day, called The World's Window, hence my title back at the beginning of this presentation, Through My Window. So this was an article through Noel's window, and he just recorded on different day-to-day experiences in Vancouver. Was very much into poetry, very much into Shakespeare, very much into acting. So a lot of his articles were kind of top heavy in that department, but every now and then he would just put together really interesting historical pieces. This particular one was about the death of President Warren Harding. And he'd had a chance to meet and shake hands with the president just before his death, and it was just so interesting. So I've included a whole bunch of snippets of these. I gather there's some in the Vancouver Star as well. Unfortunately, that's not on newspapers.com as of yet, but so I'm going to have to go down to the library and just wade through the old hard copy issues. He wrote a book called Blazing a Trail Through the Rockies, which was the story of Walter Moberly, who was very involved with the construction of the CP rail and found Eagle's Pass. So he definitely seemed quite captivated by Walter Moberly and his story. He became a good citizen, which some of you may have heard of, the Good Citizen program run by the Native Sons of British Columbia. Every year they would pick a prominent Vancouver citizen to be awarded the Good Citizen Medal. And at 70 years of age, he won the medal. Very prestigious, rarely awarded to a female recipient, but one of those recipients was Jessie Greer Hall. But Noel was quite pleased to receive it in 1960. And he died 6 years later, 1966. The real kicker is, for me, is that he lived at 2550 Balaclava, which is about a 10-minute walk from my home. And I've literally passed it a gazillion times over the years. So now I deliberately pass by on my way to Broadway shopping or whatever. And I always hope to see somebody outside so I can say, well, did you know that your house was lived in by a very famous writer? But I haven't seen anybody yet. So I think I'm going to have to pop a note through their door one day and introduce myself. Anyway, that's about it. But I can't close off without paying tribute to Ron Hatch, my publisher from Ronsdale Press, who we lost in November of 2021 after an illness. And I miss him very much. He was a mentor to me. He made my dreams come true. I don't know if working with Ron Sales can be quite the same for me since losing Ron, but I was so privileged to know him, and I just have to acknowledge him because he's the reason why I was able to embark on this journey. And as I say, it's been an amazing journey. And if anything else happens, it'll be icing on the cake. But it's been an incredible ride, and I do feel so privileged to be able to share a little bit of Vancouver's history with people. And that's about it, a thumbnail sketch of these last crazy years. So if anybody has any questions or.
Wow. That was so cool, Lisa. Yeah.
I hope I didn't go on for too long.
Far
Lost
from
track
it.
of time.
Yeah. It's a reminder to everybody to unmute yourselves if you want to ask questions or talk to Lisa, get more details.
I don't know how I get it back so I can see everybody again.
Oh, you could stop sharing your screen and perhaps I can do that for you even.
Okay. It says new share. Oh, stop share. Just click that red thing, stop share.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
Okay, there we are.
There's everybody
there's
back.
everybody.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Sam.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm so sorry. I won't bore you with my adventures and dramas, but I missed your beginning, but I loved what you said, and thank you. You're such a hero for Vancouver to give us so much beautiful history, and all the people that are on this team, Margaret and her team, working hard to make sure there's lots of all of that data that is in boxes, and it's all coming to light online. So I know that they are very appreciative of you being here.
I love what you do. I mean, it's wonderful what you do, and it's also important, isn't it? I mean, I've referred to Transcribimus numerous times, and will continue to. So,
oh, we love to hear that. That's so cool.
Yeah, you're doing amazing work.
You've used the site yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah, I always
wow.
check it. Yeah, it certainly beats wading through microfilm at the city archives.
Well, these are the people. These are the people who make it all happen. So
yeah, you're
very
doing
proud of them.
wonderful work.
We're happy to hear that, because you know, none of us, with possibly the exception of Joanne, is like a historian at all by trade. We're just like, you know, people who like historical stuff. So that makes us feel really happy that that what we're doing is useful to.
If I could throw it out there, Sheila mentioned the Old Hastings Mill Store Museum, and we are desperately seeking volunteers. So our numbers are getting thinner. We've got one girl that's pregnant, and another girl's headed off to Ireland. So, and they were a couple of our younger ones. So we're really in dire need of more people. So it amounts to about 3 hours a month or 6 hours a month, depending on your preference. But we've got some interesting plans coming up. We've got the Bergamasca Ensemble coming again in mid-April. Hoping for a Mother's Day crafting event, and Ivan Sayers is going to be setting up a display of ladies' fashions from the 1960s. And on June 3rd, we're going to have a big event called Paddle Stories. We've gotten some funding from the Vancouver Foundation, and we've asked Deanna Lewis from the Squamish Nation to come down and talk about some of her paddling adventures. And it's all going to be to do with paddling and canoes, and all the various interesting stories that have been highlighted in papers and through word of mouth in the past. Hoping to arrange a display from Ocean Wise. I just contacted them this morning, and we're hoping to make up some medicine bags with herbs.
Wow.
And traditional herbs, and have some refreshments. So it should be quite a fun day on June 3rd.
Wow.
You'll hear more about that.
Oh, excellent. Send us an email or something, and we'll make sure that all of us get it.
Sure.
And all our friends. Yeah. And as always, if you have any other things that you think it would be good for us to transcribe,
sure,
please let us know. We like minutes, but it's fun to have a bit of something else as well. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So Sam, I have 2 new transcribers on the line here, who we haven't met before, Barbara and sorry, who else? And Sheila. Hi. And yeah. So and they are joining us as a result of the Vancouver Historical Society ad on our behalf. So that's awesome. Yeah. And does anybody have any
pardon
me?
No, I was just thinking it'd be great if, I know it's such a magical place you're building there, and love all the things you can discover. And maybe if we find people who are interested in doing help with you, and then you send us people our way, and we'll make things even better.
You mean at Hastings Mill? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Sure. Oh yeah. I will definitely definitely make people aware of what you're doing.
Oh, that
And I
sounds
know
great.
Margaret and the team are really incredible. The volume that they're kicking out is amazing. There's
Sam, you
never
don't know
been
the
as
half of
high
it.
a volume as.
Yeah. Sam
Really?
asked me to look up our numbers for March, and I just about fell over. Our previous record for a month was 95 pages, 95 pages of transcribed, so handwritten pages. And that record was achieved in January. We kind of, we slacked off a little bit in February, but in March, if you can believe it, we've done 122. No, Barbara just sent in another page a minute ago, so 123 pages, which is
Oh,
a 28.42% increase over our previous record.
That's very geeky of you, Margaret.
Well, it's so geeky that I had to Google it. I started with my high school mathematics and I got lost very quickly. So I let an online calculator figure out our great increase.
Wow.
Well, good work, everyone. And I can say I didn't have any part of that because I didn't have any minutes.
I know I forgot to send Joanne minutes until minutes before this meeting. So, but you have no excuse now, Joanne.
Okay.
You're well supplied with things to work on. Yeah. So
amazing.
yeah, we're so glad to be here and listen to Lisa and all the things that she's found, and some of our own discoveries. Yeah.
Amazing body of work, Lisa.
No
So,
kidding.
Thank you.
kudos to you for amassing that amount of effort and putting it all together. That's crazy.
It was
So,
quite fun to put it all
respect.
together.
I bow to you.
Let's hope there will be more. We'll see.
Oh, yeah. I have a
Yeah.
feeling maybe you can't stop now,
Oh,
we
I'm
sort of feel that way.
yeah. J.K.
Yeah.
Rowling once said that she wanted to be writing, way into the future. So I thought,
Yeah.
okay, it gets into your system and you really can't stop. So I can't imagine not being able to write.
Well, I loved your Emily Patterson because you started off, it was a rabbit hole because you started off with Women of Gastown.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting rabbit hole, but are you ever going to continue with the initial or original effort of the Women of Gastown, or is that
Yeah.
back burner?
Yeah, it's probably on the back burner. We'll have to see. It's just such a vast field of knowledge, and I got
Yeah.
together with Jolene Cumming for lunch, and we talked about it, and she gave me a whole list of women, and as it happens, Alice Krakenthorpe was pretty much near the top of the list. So I thought, well, I'll try and tackle her first, and then wade through the rest of them. And as I say, I just got so immersed in the story of the Krakenthorpes and the Pattersons that it became the primary focus. But there's certainly other things down the pike. I've started volunteering at the Engine 374, the Roundhouse, and it'd be really nice to come up with maybe a kids version of the Engine 374. I do have a kids version of Joe that's kind of in limbo right now. They've got a huge backlog of manuscripts at Ronsdale Press since Ron passed away. So they haven't said yes, but they haven't said no to that one. So I'm firing it off to a few different publishers, and we'll see what happens there. But
I see Barbara has a question.
I do. Thank you. Did you say that your mom's name was Eileen Boberg
that's right.
and she volunteered at Burnaby Village Museum?
That's right.
Did she, by chance, or do you recognize the name Copan? Copan?
Copan.
My in-laws were involved with that, setting that up for the centennial in 71.
I know there was a lady named Ruby that was involved for years. I'm not sure what her previous name was, Walling, and then I think she remarried
Oh, okay.
Johnson, Ruby Johnson.
Doesn't ring a bell, but I'll ask my husband. He might remember. When you
Yeah,
said Burnaby Village Museum, I'm going, oh,
yeah,
no, more people.
yeah. She was there for about 7 years.
Yeah,
And then it kind of ran its
Ah.
course, but she enjoyed it.
yeah.
while it lasted.
Everything's 6 degrees of separation. So,
Yeah.
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 Excellent.
Hey, well, I guess we should wrap up and thank
Yeah.
everybody. And thank you, Lisa, for spending time with us.
You're welcome.
Fantastic.
Thank
And
you for
what
asking
a
me.
amazing volume. Great, good stuff.
Excellent.
Sorry
Yeah.
about the
Thanks.
technical difficulties.
Oh, no, it all worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had everything on standby here in the kitchen. I just thought I want to be prepared for any eventuality. So
Hmm.
I think it's our aging
Good.
machines.
We're so glad to see
Everybody,
everybody.
thank you.
We'll
Mhm.
we'll see you
Let's
next
see if we
time.
can
I need more minutes, Margaret.
have another.
Okay.
successful
Oh,
month.
who was that? Who just said
Carol.
that? Oh,
Carol.
okay. All right. Excellent. I will send you more work. No
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
We'll all
everyone.
be in
Thank
touch.
Bye.
Michelle.
Thank you for
Okay.
having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.